L'chaim Yidden, l'chaim, l'chaim. A freilichen lag Baomer to all of you. Is somebody going to join me and say l'chaim also? Or I'm drinking alone today. L'chaim, l'chaim v'levracha. I apologize for the delay. I had things figured out at home, and I decided that now, in honor of Lag Baomer, I would come back to my office for the first time since I left to my son's wedding after Shushan Purim. So this is like a little bit of a little something special for me. I haven't sat at my desk for a very, very long time. And I want to thank the organizers for giving me the privilege. Frankly, I'm really not sure why I'm here. There are gedelim v'tevim be'ein arech. And, once you don't have to be somewhere physically, how I ended up with this privilege is actually a mystery. But a privilege it is, and I'm grateful for it. The schuz sollen alle beistehen. L'chaim, l'chaim. How do I get to see everybody? 1 second. Oh, now I see a few faces. I wanted to begin by mentioning or invoking the words of the Alter Rebbe. There's a michter from the Alter Rebbe that's printed in the Igros Kedesh of the Alter Rebbe. There are not many Igros from the Alter Rebbe. In fact, the letters of the Alter Rebbe and the Mittler and the Tzemach Tzedek are all in one volume. But at any rate, there's a michter over there that the Alter Rebbe writes in the year Tov Kuf Samach Daled, 1804. And I am not privy to exactly what's going on behind this letter. It's dated somewhere in Nisan or Iyar of Tov Kuf Samach Daled. But what I can understand is that the Chassidim, the Lubavitcher Chassidim in Vitebsk, were undergoing an extraordinarily difficult time. And the difficulties were being brought upon them not by strangers, but by other Chassidim, it seems even. And it was a very uncomfortable period in the development of Chassidus and the post-mortem, if you will, of the Histalkus of the Maggid and the development of Chassidus, where there were many machlekes. And at any rate, it seems that the Chassidim suffered terribly at the hands of others. And the Alter Rebbe writes to them about trying to make shalom and trying to work things out. And he empathizes with them in their plight. And in the midst of what is clearly a very difficult time, and a time when nobody wants to celebrate, to be happy, the Alter Rebbe writes, and I quote, "Ve'ila zeis, notwithstanding all of this, sisu v'simchu b'Hashem, you should be sure to rejoice and be happy with the Eibishter. B'chol leiv v'nefesh, with all of your heart and with all of your soul. V'las yemishte v'simcha b'chai iyar haba aleinu l'teva, that you should make a simcha, a joyous event, on the 18th day of the year. Tonight in England, it's already Chai Iyar, it's like Baomer. And the Alter Rebbe says, Yema de Hilula de Rashbi, the day of the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Asher anu sheisim tipa tamsis de tamsis, that we have the privilege, we have the good fortune of partaking of but a tiny amount, a tiny morsel, a tiny drop of his teachings. V'chulu. And the Alter Rebbe goes on, Ulahalel uleranen, that we should be joyous, we should be songful, B'shiris v'tishbaches la'Hashem miSefer Tehillim, emphasizing specifically that there should be shirim from Sefer Tehillim, Kegoin Tehillah l'David u'Chai Gavna, like Kapitel 145, which is a very, very meaningful kapitel on different levels. The Gemara says if you say this kapitel 3 times a day, you're Zeichet Elam Haba. Alter Rebbe doesn't write this, whatever. He just mentions that kapitel, and he says, I suppose sometime when people are unhappy and you give them to drink, so it's very easy for them to fly off the handle. So the Alter Rebbe says it should be in a way of kedusha, in a way of chassidishkeit, in a way of holiness, not in a way of wildkeit. But the Alter Rebbe was talking to chassidim then who were very unhappy for whatever reasons, for reasons that are beyond me. And he told them that it is important, both lasis mishta v'simcha, and then separately writes lahalel uleranin. This is certainly a difficult period. It's certainly a difficult time. I, for one, would like to humbly submit that the prophets of the prophets of joy, who can't stop talking about how wonderful this time is and how gewaldig the state the world is and how Mashiach is mamish knocking on the door. I don't know. My humble opinion is that it's totally misguided and it's inappropriate. We really don't know what the Eibishter wants from us, but to say that this is a good time, I think, is a highly insensitive and even wrong thing to say. There are many, many grieving families, Rahman al broken families. This is not something that we should gloss over. And frankly, it's not exactly the way we viewed our lives a short while ago, with every one of us being separate. Achdus, not only electronic Achdus, but in the physical sense, to be in the same space, is certainly a very important part of who we are as Yidden and Chassidim. And the fact that we're all separate now, and the fact that we're not able to come together, cannot be a good thing. It's a very difficult and trying time. And some might be tempted during a difficult and trying time such as this to downplay Lag Baomer. After all, Lag Baomer is coming together. Lag Baomer is of a talucha and a parade, as we'll talk about soon. So l'chayra, when you have such a situation, you can't do what the Rebbe wanted us to do, certainly not in the typical sense. We're not able to gather Yiddish Kinderlach, we're not able to come together in Farbrengen. There might be those who would think or make the mistake of downplaying the simcha of Lag Baomer. And Rabbi Mendel told us otherwise. And it's very interesting that this is the first of that letter of the Alter Rebbe, is, to the best of my knowledge, the very first time that there was a directive from the Rabbeim specifically that they should be rejoicing in Lag Baomer. And it comes at a time which is a difficult and challenging time. So, first of all, l'chaim. Sometimes you need a little help to be freilich. Good. That's why the Eibishter created l'chaim. There should be no shortage. Everybody has a bottle of l'chaim in the house. You finished it and you did Gimel Yer already on Pesach Sheni. Like Zol de Elam Zagen l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. For all of you, at least it's Lag Baomer. I'm sitting like a goylem here. It's Erev Lag Baomer. All we get is not saying Tachnon, but you, it's already Rotschen the ganze Simcha von Lag Baomer. Let's see if we get a gallery view here. No, Mrs. sagt l'chaim. Darf mechabed sein ja der Einer? Iden sagt l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim v'levracha, l'chaim. Anu ein lanu ella divrei ben Amram. For us as Chassidim, really, when it comes to anything in life, but especially when it comes to something which is prominent, something which is part of Chassidus, part of Yiddishkeit, that for us we only look at it as the Rabbeim saw it. And there's a lot of confusion that I saw lately with regard to Lag Baomer. So although everybody here is Chachamim and Nevenim and Kulam Yedim Es HaTeirah, I just wanted to take a moment, maybe if somebody forgot, B'meshech HaZman, am soll wissen sein, was ist Lag Baomer. And again, that the Alter Rebbe and Shulchan Aruch does not talk about Hilul de Rashbi. The Alter Rebbe paraphrases, he slightly modifies the Lashon of the Ramah, which the Ramah himself uses two Lashonos very interestingly. In Darkei Moshe, the Ramah says, Ayem Mishteh v'Simcha, or Simcha o Mishteh. And the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah only says Ayem Simcha. And he uses the word K'tzas Simcha. And the Alter Rebbe also uses that verbiage. He says that there's an inyan of K'tzas laharbes. In the Ramah it says laharbes K'tzas, laharbes besimcha K'tzas. And the Alter Rebbe puts K'tzas in the front. K'tzas laharbes besimcha, b'yem zeh. And this is Tak al Pi Nigla. And al Pi Nigla, it's based on what says in Minhagi Maril, who has a very different cheshbon. The Maril makes a cheshbon of that. We know that Talmid Rebbe Kiva didn't die in days he didn't say Tachnon, so he makes a cheshbon. You have Shiva Simei HaChag, and you have Shleisha Simei days of Rosh Chodesh, and then he says you have the Sheva Shabbosos, which doesn't exactly add up because one of the Sheva Shabbosos has to be part of the Shevas Yomim. Whatever. There's a whole arichas in the levush and the mafarshim on the levush, and exactly how the cheshbon does or doesn't work. But the point is that the Maharil is really the first authoritative, at least in a halachic sense, source of halacha of Lag Baomer. And although Rabbi Shua ibn Shuab mentions it also in one of his drashas, it's not said in the language of halacha. The Mechaber doesn't mention it at all. Mechaber B'chlal doesn't mention Lag Baomer. And the Ramah, he talks about Mishte v'simcha, or only simcha, ktsas. And the Alter Rebbe is mitzatet to Lashon Ramah b'shinuyim kalim. So Hagam, that's taka emes, and that's how it is al pi nigla. But al pi chassidus and al pi pnimis inyanim is a whole different thing. And there's a letter from the Rebbe, Pesach Sheni Tavshin Yud Aleph, and the Rebbe says that kama taimim nemru b'simchas Lag Baomer v'chagigasei, and the Rebbe writes, va'onu ein lanu ela ha'amor b'kisve ha'arizal, umuva b'dach. For us, there is really only one source of importance of how we should behave in Lag Baomer, what Lag Baomer means to us, and that is what's written clearly in Kisvei Arizal and what's brought in Chassidus. Asher yem ze o yem istalkusei shel Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Hilula de Rabbi Shimon. That's what this is about. This is about Hilula de Rabbi Shimon. And the Rebbe, of course, is alluding here, as he is mitzayin later, to the Mishnas Chasidim. The Mishnas Chasidim was a big Talmud Chacham, a Rishon, or at least at the cusp of the time of the Rishonim, from Italy. It seems like he learned Kabbalah in Italy also, but until he went to Eretz Yisrael and lived in Tzfas, where he became posthumously a major Talmud of the Arizal. And in the end, the Mishnas Chasidim left Eretz Yisrael. He was captured by pirates. He was held in captivity for 40 days. But when he went through this ordeal, he wrote the Mishnas Chasidim afterwards, back in Italy. And he was in Italy for a long time. In the end of his life, he returned to Eretz Yisrael. He was lived in Yerushalayim later. The Mishnas Chasidim says that's what Lag Baomer is. He says, mitzvah l'smeach simchas d'rashbi. The emes is that the Mishnas Chasidim, according to the Alter Rebbe, does not say anything on his own. He says things on his own, but this has nothing to do with the Mishnas Chasidim's own ideas. There's a clear words of the Alter Rebbe, which we don't have in manuscript, but it's quoted in Divrei Nehemiah, that the Alter Rebbe wrote that these words of the Mishnas Chasidim are a direct tzitut of the Lashon of the Arizal. And that is for us Lag Baomer. Lag Baomer is not the inyan of Paskul Lamos. So as the Rebbe points out in a number of different sichas, Paskul Lamos is a reason l'mayit ba'avelus. It's not a reason l'ranin u'l'smeach. It's not a reason that Chassidim should come together and Farbrengen. Good. So some people will shave off their sphere beards. They're memayit a little bit in... I've been trying to make as many Zoom calls and FaceTime calls to the members of my shul before they cut their beards off. I wanted to have the pleasure of seeing them with the psashtikl Yiddish tzura. Then tomorrow Nebuch is me fired Simchas Rashbi, me fired the Simcha of Pnius Ateder Nebuch, but das was heuerlich sie, was man nimmt up the Yud Gimel Tkuna Dikna, such can clap. I mean, it's such a very strange thing. But upon him, the whole inyan of Lag Baomer for us, this is the inyan of the Hilulu de Rashbi. Like it says in the Idra, the Meiredik Lashenis that I brought over there, which Chassidus talks a lot about, where Rashbi announced that the pasuk that says Anila Deidi, V'chukase Elai, Ve'elai Chukase, that this pasuk speaks about me, as Rabbi Shimon said. Rabbi Shimon said, Kol Yemin Diskatarna B'hai Alma B'chad Katiris Katarna. That all the days of my life, when I was connecting myself to the Eibishter, I connected myself with a single knot. The single knot, and as pointed out in many Mamarim of Chassidus, including Mugadik Amar of the Rebbe, that the inyan of Hiskashrus, the inyan of a kesher, is rendered in the Targum as Kuf Tes Reish, a keter. It's the inyan of a knot. And we'll begin Hashta V'alaichu Kosei. Arizal said, because the Reb Shimon Bechai said, because Kol Yoima, because all of my days, my yearning, my desire was to be connected to the Eibishter in an absolute way. So b'meila is mekuyim today v'alaichu kasei. And then Rabbi Shimon goes on to say that this is the meaning of the pasuk B'Hashem tesal nafshi, and this is the joy of his nefesh. V'idna iskayim kra kula. Now the pasuk is fully fulfilled, and the lashon of the idre is that now the high nishmasi be'achida be'lehita be'ezdabkas chulu. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai used three extraordinary lashonos. And as is known in the Lashon of the Idra, how he gave Rabbi Abba to write. He gave his son Rabbi Lazar to recite, to repeat the words that he would say, the Torah that he would say. And the other Tanoim were only able to listen. Machshava dibur maisa. Machshava yin of dibur yin of maisa. And what Rabbi Abba writes, that there was butzina kadisha, that the whole room was on fire. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Shver, the Pichas Bayar came there, and there was a tremendous trepidation and a fear. And what happened was that in the end, they continued to write. He couldn't look at Rabbi Shimon because of the intensity of the fire. Rabbi Shimon was Megala, the greatest Seidas HaTorah. There's a mimer from the Rebbe, a Mugadik mimer from the Rebbe in Tovshim Mem Tes, where the Rebbe bases what he says on what the Rebbe Rashab writes in the Hemshech Samach Vav about the chiluk of Reb Shimon's Aveda in Torah. That Reb Shimon's Aveda was an eifin of what's called in Lashon Chassidus Mad. Mashenket Adol Tanoim was an eifin of Mayim Nuchrim of the Inyan of Man. That the Rebbe says that this Inyan of Bechad Katiris Katarna was not only niskayim by Reb Shimon in the last moments of his life, it was niskayim b'shleimus in the last moments of his life, but be'emes, that in a certain way, Reb Shimon's entire life was an Inyan of a kesher, of a oneness with the Eibishter. And through that oneness, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was Megala Seidas HaTorah to other Tanoim, and ultimately Seidas HaTorah through them to the whole world. And the Inyan of Lag Baomer is when this notion of being Megala Seidas HaTorah, Pnimius HaTorah, reaches its apex, it reaches its fruition. And that's the Inyan of Hilul de Rashbi, as the Rebbe says, as brought down the Maimarim of the Al, the Maimarim from the Alter Rebbe from Tovko Sam of Dal, and you have it in Siddur and Shar Lag Baomer, and the Kama V'Kama Maimarim from Rabbi Sein Nesienu, including several Maimarim from our Rebbe, Mugadik Maimarim even, also Mugadik Maimarim, where they connect this with the Alter Rebbe says, Be'ina V'Yem Ilula, that everything that the tzaddik did is elevated, and everybody is elevated, and everything reaches its fruition, and there's this global form of elevation that takes place. B'shas we have Hilula de Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai becomes ultimately the Moshe Rabbeinu of Pnimius HaTorah. The Inyan of Lag Baomer is referred to by Rebbe Sein Nesienu in the terminology of Matan Torah, of Pnimius HaTorah. And that is to say, although the entire Torah was given to Klal Yisrael al Har Sinai, and there was an Inyan of Giluyim, there was a revelation, not an eifin of a nes, or they saw something happen, but like the Alter Rebbe says in Perek Lamed Vav, that was coming from all sides, and they felt the Gilui Elokus from all sides. There was no longer any Helen Vehester, there was no Hislapshus whatsoever. And then there was a Gilui of Aseres Hadibris, which Saji Goen says, Alter Rebbe alludes to it in Perek Lamed Vav, that in Azharis, that all of the mitzvahs are really in there already. So everything in Torah was given at Har Sinai. But L'Poel Mamash, the Giluyim of Pnimius HaTorah, or that Pnimius HaTorah should be articulated or written or developed in a way that should be a chelik of Torah, an actual chelik of Torah, doesn't happen until the Shimon Bar Yochai. It doesn't happen until the Zohar is arranged. And this is what Lag Baomer is. So Lag Baomer is the Gilui of Pnimius HaTorah. Lag Baomer is the Gilui of Neshama. Lag Baomer Nishmasa De'eraisa, which is Megala, the Neshama of every single Yid. And really, as the way that Rabbeim speak about it, Lag Baomer ultimately develops or matures into the Inyan of the Arizal. And the Arizal is the Baal Shem Tov and Rabbi Sein Nesienu until our Rebbe Nesidadenu. This is our Yom Tov. This is Mamash our Yom Tov. Like if there's a day where the Alter Rebbe begs Sidim, L'smeach u'leranen, L'halel u'leranen, this is a very, very big day. And Kedai Shimon Lizmech, this is one could argue really the source of everything that we follow, everything we believe in, the whole the theology of Chassidus, and the way we look at the world, and the way we understand Torah, and our iskashos to the Rebbe, the way we are as Yidden. The way we are as Yidden is ultimately a direct result of Lag Baomer. Of course, the Rebbe wanted everything to be Al Pi Nigla also, and the Rebbe in multiple sources, he notes that the Chassam Sefer is ma'arer on this, and he says l'chayre that a yartzeit of a tzaddik is the inyan of tainus tzaddikim, and l'chayre it's not an inyan, it's an inyan of avelus. The Rebbe says that al pi nigla, the answer is that Ashbi tziva l'smeach bei, and the Rebbe brings kama mara mekemis, the day of Rebbe Yerucham is one of the major Rishonim, which is muva lahalacha in Yeredeya, that the inyan of shemenli, that if somebody says something like this, you shemenli. So apinigla good, apinigla megmen, aber apichsidis darfmen, apinigla megmen hein freien, apichsidis darfmen hein freien. And in fact, it's very interesting that the Magen Avram on Shulchan Aruch, he brings down the story of Rabbi Avraham Halevi. And the Bar Heitev decided to also include it. I mean, L'cheira in Shulchan Aruch, es bringt sich kein Zachnish von Hilula der Rashbi. It's l'shmech tzas. It's a little, you're allowed to be besimcha. Whereas the Rebbe points out, there's an inyan tzachakol of miyata avelus. But afal pikein, L'peil, the Magen Avram, which we know the Magen Avram took many things from the Shalah, and ultimately the Magen Avram was the first one to bring Kisvi Arizal, ideas of the Arizal, into mainstream of halacha. He talks about the inyan of, since he mentions the Shulchan Aruch, not to say Tachnun, the Magen Avram brings the story of Rabbi Avraham Halevi, which has everything to do with Rashbi, and really nothing to do with Paskul Amos. The only thing, Stam L'chiduda, that there's the Rebbe brings down in one of his letters, is printed in L'kut HaSichas, Chelik Zayin, famous kasha, why it says Lag Ba'omer, not Lag La'omer. L'cherish says Lag La'omer. So the Rebbe says that in Pelish Sfarim, it's brought down the Lag Ba'omer without a Vav is Gematria Mesha. And since Rashbi, the Rebbe says Lahar that Rashbi is a Nitzotz Mesha, and Nis'ala, as the Lashon goes, Nis'ala, that he was elevated, that Le'oise Ershe Kibul Mesha Kisha'ala L'kabalucha Shniyas, and that Rashbi was on the Madrega of Moshe Rabbeinu on the day of Lag Baomer, like Moshe Rabbeinu was during our Boim Yom, which is why we call it the Inyan of Matan Teda, of Primus HaTeda. So Mela Ula Yashlemer, the Alter Rebbe is kind of alluding to Hilul de Rashbi when he writes Lag Baomer, not Lag Omer. Chveis Ula Yashlemer. But Akopanim, the Inyan is as Heint de Zeir Agresa Tag. It's a very, very big day, a very important day. Umedaf Farbrengen, Umedaf Zen Freilach, and you have to make others joyous around you. And the mazel is that I'm talking to myself, not to you, by the way, but I actually feel like I'm talking to myself. But every Farbrengen, officially, you're talking to yourself. When you're sitting in the office by yourself, I actually feel like I'm talking to myself. No, on that note, L'chaim. Kopanim, for me, it's not yet Lag Baomer. For me, it's hopefully this could be a hakdama of Lag Baomer. For all of you, you already have the schus of being in Lag Baomer already. And the inyan is that we have to use out this incredible time, this Yom Zakai in the fullest way, the way that Rebbe would want us to. And nothing happens by itself. As everybody knows, nothing happens by itself. Things, you have to make them happen. The Rebbe wanted us to make it happen. They say there's three kinds of people: the people who watch it happen, the people who make it happen, and the people who wonder what happened. A chassid should never wonder what happened, and our job is not to watch it happen. Our job is to make it happen. Kol echad v'echad lefi inyanei, lefi kishrei nesav, or kefi ruchei, well, everybody in his inyan, but every one of us has a job. We have to make it happen. We have to make it happen. If there's somebody who needs to become a little bit, who needs more simcha in his life, because of their suffering from the present matzav, somebody's illness, or hoyolisia, the svelte mishpacha rachmana litzlan, then it's our chayv that we should be misamer them in some way, find a way to be misamer them, and b'chlal, to reach Yidden, to touch Yidden, and to fully utilize the opportunity which the Eibishter gives us. No, Rabbi say, sagt l'chaim a bissel, sagt l'chaim, efshe singt men ebs anigen, und mit proven ein bisschen verbringen. L'chaim.
No.
I do have a little bit of a connection to London and Manchester. I'll share with you an interesting story.
He's up there.
Maybe it's a Nara Shemaisa. My Elter Zayda, the Bayer Leib, I'm muted. My Elter Zayda, the Bayer Leib, was the last Rav in Kiev. He was a Rav, and there was a small shul called Kopetchevsk Shul, and in the basement there was a few from a Yidden, Kama v'Kama from ANASH and others. He was the last Rav over there. And there was one of the secret Chadorim, which, by the way, there wasn't like 50 classes in Russia. There was like 4 classes, the whole Maisa, the whole, like The Frierdiker Rebbe knew the name of every single boy. There was tests that were administered. He got the marks of every single boy. But it was, at the height of it was be'erech 40 bachrim, at the height of it. Anyway, he was the Rosh Yeshiva in Kiev. When the yeshiva was in Kiev, when the older bachrim were in Kiev, so he set a shir for them. And Reb Nachum Volosov, I remember once standing with my father, Reb Nachum Volosov, alav shalom, came over to my father and was talking to him about his Zayda. And they said the best shiurim is Chamol Gehet my Leb and given by Dein Zayden. He learned with him for a few months. Anyway, it's today it's well known. Today we know a lot of the details already, but it's not a secret that when the Rebbe's father was arrested, during that time, basically that was the end. That was the end of the resistance. Like all the resistance was crushed after that. During that period, from Pesach from Purim to Pesach, everybody was arrested. There was a group of Chassidim in Kharkov, very, very active. Probably the most active Chassidish shtetl at that time was Chassidim who living in Kharkov. My Elter Zayde, Nachum Yitzchak Pinson, was there. And there was a
which year?
Leader, the one who was really was Avram Baruch Pevzner. He was the one who was the Ruach HaChaim from all the Chassidim over there. There was the Gurkovs were there. The Ben Shem Tov was there. Whatever, there was Chassidish Yidden. The bench was a younger man. They were much older. Nachum Yitzchak Pinson was 25 years older. But the Yidden, they had something going. And the famous Moser was once a Tomim.
What year was it?
I believe this is Tzadik Vav. When was the Rebbe's father arrested? Tzadik Vav. No?
But
later? Yeah. Tzadik Ches?
Tzadik Tes.
Tzadik Tes, you're right. I'm sorry. Tzadik Tes. Tzadik Tes. So the Rebbe's father was arrested in Nisan, right? Dalad Nisan or Hey Nisan. My Elter Zayde was arrested Yud Zayin Adar. Everybody got arrested then. There was a famous Moser. He slept the night before my Elter Zayde Pinson was arrested. He slept in the house there. They said to him, "Lasten Mishter Ein Stub, there's a Moser." And the Zayde gesagt, "They learned in Lubavitch Kenner Zayin." Yeah, Tomim is Kenner Zayin. Nobody believed it. Everybody's arrested then. Everybody was fashikt. And basically that's when it's Tzadik Tes. That's when the Chassidim, that's really when everything was crushed. And immediately after that, a few months later, World War II broke out, and whatever there was by Chassidim afterwards, Shai Gopin was living in Kharkov. Everybody got arrested. Shai Gopin was younger than them. He got away. He went to Samarkand, and then he sent a telegraph to the Chassidim in Kharkov, "Kunt to Samarkand, Dakem Aleben." So that's when they went to Samarkand, and between basically two cities, between Samarkand and the two cities in Kazakhstan where Chassidim were.
Tashkent
In Kazakhstan, yeah. So my Elter Zayde, Tashkent, Kazakhstan and Tashkent. So my Elter Zayde was arrested the same time as his father. Everybody was arrested at that time, and he actually met the Rebbe's father on the Gerufene Frunzer Echelon, on the cattle car that was taking him to Siberia. My Elter Zayde was together with the Rebbe's father. And the cattle car, they were the most fashikt. The Blavik was the most fashikt. Chile was the furthest hovel. And the second last guy to get off, the second furthest guy, was my Elter Zayde. He was sent to a little tiny town, which was a little bigger than Chile, which was called Nikazor. I'll remember in a second. I remember what it's called. So he was sent to this little town, and I Googled it to see the names of the towns. It's very, very where he was, and where the Blavik were very, very, really not far away. And they were there. Huh?
Kazil Orda.
No, not Kazil Orda. My Zayde later went to Kazil Orda after his sentence was finished. Nikurgan. The name of the town was Nikurgan. Kazil Orda was a shtetl. Kazil Orda had a shul. It had a Svardish Ravet somewhere in the 19th century. This Nikurgan was a hovel, and Chile was worse. Subhumans living there, mamish, like the Smoyed, crazy. It was impossible to live. Impossible. It's desert. Nothing grows there in these places. You hear about the Rebbe Zachana taking like shrubbery. It's not like she went outside and she picked up some nana. Nothing grows there. It's a desert. You can't even eat vegetation. They're like in Fala Khan's book, they drink the blood of the reindeer. That's how these people kept us as alive. There's like mention fresses. You can't imagine. Your mamash can't imagine. Anyway, my Elter Zayda had the schus that he maintained the connection with the Bleivik all the time, and he used to go on a weekly basis actually to bring some food to the Bleivik. He would steal whatever he could steal, and he would bring every Thursday night. Ad kadei kach that Rabbi Tzachana told my Zayda that when she came to Chile, she came on a Friday afternoon. She sent a telegram, and she said to my Zayda that when she came to the train, she saw Reb Leivik standing, and she said, "Ich hab ihm nicht erkannt. Ich hab nicht geglaubt, dass das ist er." And when you see the pictures, you put them now you understand what Reb Leivik went through. And she said, "Bis ich hab gehört sein Kol, hab ich nicht geglaubt, dass das ist er." Ich hab nicht geglaubt. So she said to Reb Leivik, "Was ist sein mit Shabbos?" It's Friday afternoon. Was ist sein mit Shabbos? So Reb Leivik said, "Eliyahu Novi is da given. Eliyahu Novi chenal is great." So Rabbi Tzachana said to my Zayda, as the man at Gahat, he had a good sense of humor. He used to sometimes, so she thought he was trying to make light of, inject a little levity into the situation. But she came to this whatever corner of a room that he was in, and there was a kugel on the table, and she was shocked. And he said, the next Thursday night, by the way, it was illegal to go from your shtetl. You had to steal your way onto a train, and if they caught you, you'd be shot. You weren't allowed to go. My Elter Zaydi was Meiser Nefesh for a few months. So Rebbe Tzachana came, so he would steal himself onto the train, make some food for the Bleivik, and then go back, hope that he wouldn't get caught. So she said, "As Eliyahu Novi's dog event." So the next week when my Elter Zaydi came in, the Bleivik tzalach and call is Adaz Eliyahu Novi. My Zayda told me that one time he went himself. Usually my Elter Zayda used to go. One time my Zayda was a bacher. He came to stay with his father. He went also. At any rate, it became impossible for Yidden to live, and life had collapsed. So people ran away. They ran away from Kharkov. From Kharkov, my Elter Baba and a few of my uncles were in the war already. But those who weren't drafted ran away to Samarkand, and others went to Tashkent. But my Zayda decided that he would go to stay with his father. His father, he knew he was afraid he wouldn't make it. Terrible conditions. And because of this, by the way, they all escaped the Nazis, because the Nazis came, in Tafshin Aleph, the Nazis came to Kiev, and they slaughtered all the Jews. 3 days. They slaughtered almost 100,000 Jews in 3 days in Babi Yar. And then they came to Kharkov right after, and it was first 2 days of Hanukkah. They massacred the Jews in Kharkov in a place called the Britsky Yar. Yar is just a ravine. So Matui's Gehagit, whoever, basically, because they were Fashik, that's how they ended up getting saved from the Nazis. That's what comes out. So my Zayda moves, my Elter Baba moves, Uncle Melach moved, everybody moved to this crazy place, and they were living with him. Whatever. He's there, they'll be there also. L'Poel Tavshin Daled, the sentences were lifted or ended. Reb Leivik, at that point, the Chassidim, the Raskin, Mishpachas Raskin, was instrumental in bringing Reb Leivik to Talmata. And that's where Rabbi Yankiv Raskin took care, and the children took care of Reb Leivik. And my Elter Zayda ended up going to Kzil Orda, as Dayan Raskin pointed out. Kzil Orda is a little bit of a larger town. A few Sfarad Yidden there, whatever. L'Poel, my Elter Zayda arranged a minyan over there for Yom Kippur, and the communists found out about it, and they decided this guy's trouble. So, coming out of Shul Yom Kippur at night, they sent a few chuliganin to just beat him to death. And unfortunately, they succeeded. There was two Yidden there. There was another Boyaner Chassid. His name was Meisher Kolikov, and they beat them both they cracked the skulls, beat them to bloody pieces, and left them for dead in the ice. Lapel, Meisher Kolikov somehow did survive, and he regained his health eventually. And that's how we know the story. And my Elter Zayda was nifter on the afternoon of Yom Kippur. That's why those of you who remember 770, my Zayda, the Havaning Shachris, afem flag bezogen, the Tata, the gemacht a Yos and Nishkechazim. Anyway, my Zayda never had a great voice, but Nusrich he can't. And whatever. It was what it was, as they say. Why am I telling you the story? So there's a very interesting kuda, so my Zayda never sat shiva for his father because he was actually in prison that Yom Kippur. He had a whole story how he fasted in prison Yom Kippur. Anyway, He was in. So he got out of prison a few months after his father was a nifter. He said shiva for a day, whatever. And then there was terrible times. The tifim Muhammad Yarden, and everybody became sick with typhus. So they were in the hospital, and my elder Baba was very, very sick with typhus. The last time she walked, my Zayda built a little sukkah. She went to the sukkah. She wanted to see a sukkah. That was the last time she was on her 2 feet, and she was nifter in Cheshvan. And my Zayda by that time fell sick also. My Zayda told me this story a number of times. I asked my father today. He doesn't remember the story. He doesn't remember hearing the story. But I'm not crazy. I heard it from my Zayda. And my Zayda says that he was sick in the hospital and delirious with fever, mamash burning up like barely alive. And his mother died, and they were afraid to tell him. There was 2 Polish Bachrim, Platim, from Poland, who were living in Ksiloda, who thought they were doing a big mitzvah. They came in, they broke in, they climbed the window, and they came from the outside to tell my Zayda that his mother died. You know, they're very frum. They want to tell him he should tear kriya, whatever. So he had like a nervous breakdown. He totally cracked up. He was delirious. He has no recollection of this. He told him about it after. He began to run through the halls, and he was cursing Stalin and screaming, "Ich bin dem Rebbe a Mensch," and the communists and Chayes, and he was doing crazy things. I mean, something that could get you shot, like in communist Russia, like this. So he told me that in the hospital staff there was a Jewish woman who spoke Yiddish, and she realized that she has to do something, or this young man is going to get himself killed very quickly. So she went over to him, and this my Zayda told me he remembers. She said to him, "You have to lay in bed right now. If you move, you're going to die. I'm telling you, so do whatever you want. I'm telling you right now, you have about 5 minutes left on your battery. If you move, you're going to die." My Zayda told me he remembers taking her seriously and laying for hours, afraid to move because he thought he was going to die. When he came to, so this nurse told him what happened and how she saved his life. And she said to him, "A ganze Zeit hast du geschrien, du willst gehen in London. For was hast du geredet wegen London?" My Zayda said, I don't know. She said, "The Hustep is Bakanta in London." The truth is, my Zayda did have an uncle Shmuel who lived in London, but he never met him, he never knew him. My Zayda said, I don't remember saying it. And she said, "You were screaming London, 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 other New York, and weiter, London, London, London." He said, "I don't know what to say to you. I don't know." So after the interesting thing is after the Muhammad Yarden, my Zayda, by the way, after he recovered, his mother died, and there was nothing left to stay in Ksiloda, so he went to Tashkent. And since I see Dayan Raskin over here, I'll tell him a story about his Zayda. So what happened is that there was a Shadar who was going between Tashkent and between Samarkand. He couldn't sit still. Kiyadua, those who knew him, he couldn't sit still. His name was Ben Zion Shem Tov. So Ben Zion Shem Tov, so Abzdabs Hatomim, Ayosem, hat nicht getate, nicht kemame, hat keine nicht, lebt in Tashkent. Es da Yesemev, es hat nicht getate, nicht kemame, und sie lebt in Samarkand. He said, "Oh, a perfect shidduch." And that's the romantic story of how my Baba and Zayda met. Because Ben Shem Tov realized that a natural shidduch. Anyway, after the war, my Zayda wrote to the Friedrich Rebbe that he wrote in any day in Kveit Kedushas Admor Zeichresi, Avol Shmi, Meisha Binyamin, Ben Rav Ayalei Bayad, I was in your yeshiva, whatever. He didn't know. He said, "I don't know. I'm writing to the Rebbe." You know, it's after years and years of disconnect. He didn't hear from the Rebbe from Tzadik Tes. They didn't hear from them. So the Friedrich Rebbe wrote him back, "Hineni zecharani hetiv. Ich gedenk ihm sehr gut." And my Zayda said to him many times, "I came on nicht verstanden, was ist der Hineni zecharani hetiv?" The Friedrich Rebbe, my Zayda saw the Friedrich Rebbe once when he was a 5-year-old boy. It's a story in and of itself. He doesn't recall it. There's Tafresh Pei Aleph. I think my Zayda was my involved. He didn't understand, like, what is Zahana Hativ? My Zayda many times would tell this to me. For was hat mit der Rebbe geschrieben Hativ? It always bothered him, the word Hativ. And I was with my Zayda. My sister got married just before Gimel Tammuz. And my Zayda was living there. He was in New York, time of Gimel Tammuz. And Better Levin came over to him a short while after. I was with him. And he said to him that they were going through the Shifaladen and the Friedrich Rebbe's drawer. And they found over there a packet of pictures. With this packet of pictures, they know the Friedrich Rebbe used to take out those pictures of Chassidim. And during the war years, the Friedrich Rebbe used to put the pictures on his table. Und if gucken auf die Chassidim vergweinen. So he showed my Zayda the picture. There's one of these pictures is a picture of my Zayda and his brother Melech alav shalom. I know the picture. It's a picture we have in the family. The two of them with kasketten. My Zayda is 13 and Melech is 15 or 16. And this is one of the pictures that the Frierdiker Rebbe had on his desk on a daily basis. So my Zayda said to me, it's after Gimel Tammuz, says, Jetzt verstehe ich, was meint, hindi sich reine hetev. But anyway, at a later letter from the Deeping from Pocking, the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote to my Zayda that he should look into his Stadros be London. And my Zayda said to me, after I got a letter from the Rebbe, said, Jetzt hab ich bewusst, was ich hab geschrieben in London. London, was hat der Rebbe gesagt, dass ich darf bald sein in London. How did he take end up in London? Say interessante Meise. That Chatzkel Abramski is given, mein Elte Zayda is a gute Chaver from Yeshiva. My Elte Zayda didn't come from a Chassidische Mishpacha, a very Litvische Mishpacha, Lentis Labatke, and they were Chavrusis together. And he knew the whole Mishpacha. He knew my Elte Baba's Mishpacha and the extended Mishpacha, Rabbanische Mishpacha from Lita, he knew them. So my Elte Zayda, Ayaleib, had a brother Shmuel who was a sheikhet in London. He never got married and he died young. And he left in his Sava that whatever money, the little money he has, he should find if there's anybody who survived the war. It's Kiyadua that the Lithuanian Jews suffered the highest number of murder in the time of World War II. 94% of Lithuanian Jews are murdered. And most of them not by the Nazis, but by their neighbors. 3 days before the Nazis came, they killed everybody already. Entire Shtetlach. In the course of 5 months, over 100 Shtetlach were wiped out. But no Zecher, nothing. Wiped out. So in case there's a Zecher, a remnant of the Mishpacha, so give him the money. So Reb Chatzkel came at that time to France. My Zayda, they left Pocking already, and they were in the DP camp in France. And Reb Chatzkel came to see the Platim. Platim is asking around, and somehow he stumbles on my Zayda. So first of all, he said, what is going on over here? Du bist geworden einer von Zay? He said, what's going on over here? He was out of his box. And then he started to talk to my Zayda and learning. And those who knew my Zayda, as given a serious Talmud Chacham. He just had gesetzt und gelernt sein ganzes Leben. Niglich, Chassidus. He was a Yid who kol was Teda. He said, du kennst etwas lernen a bissel. And then right after the war in Pocking, he learned Smicha by the B'shnei the Rav over there. He gewusst jeder der Eichet. He said, kennst du Adin, something. So he was Masad there. He said to him, look, I have this little Yerusha, whatever it was, a few $1,000. He said, I'll get you a job. And that's how my Zayda ended up coming to London. And I know we have Manchester on the line as well. So my Veistach, the Nachum Milchama, they couldn't put themselves together. My Zayda was first in London, and then he was in Manchester, and then back in London. Ahin and Sadiq until Taka ended up in New York. And as a boy, I think in Tezayin, the family moved to New York, and they were close to the Rebbe, the Gashmis. Anyway, I guess that's like, I don't know, ich was mit mir angebacken, it makes no sense to me that ich sitze in Farbrengen, ich gucke auf jeden mit lange weiße Bart, mit der große Ideas und Niglo und Chassidus, und in der Skashe steigen als Sachecher. So Mele, you need a sucker to travel so many hours and spend time in London. Good, ich verstehe, you find a kapottes handle. But today on Zoom, you could have had Bisano Mishalta, and you got stuck with me, this whole Farbrengen. Sense it doesn't make, but Akopanim, here we are. Is the Elm Zagen L'chaim Abissel, mit der Farbrengen zusammen, der Zagen L'chaim. Heint ist dem Rebben Zatog, Lag Baomer ist dem Rebben Zatog. Und das ist nicht etwas Posco Milamus. Das ist nicht ein von Menias Havelos. Heint ist na Halle Veneranen. Heint ist dem Rebben Zatog, Heint darf man sich freien. Und als wir wollen sich freien, als der Rebbe will, wird das uns bringen, alle Brachas und Atzlachas und Jeshuas, was wir darf haben. L'chaim, L'chaim, L'bracha. Parana, Brief von dem Rebben, Ag Baomer Tov. Der Rebbe schreibt, Ubam Deino B'yema Ilula der Ashbi. I'm muted. Not muted. Asher in Yonei Upolasei. That as we stand today, in the day of the Hilula of Rashbi, who in Yonei, his inyan, Pu'ulasei, the impact was lahamshich, l'tanoyim, to bring to the tanoyim, inyan of Chulu Pnimius HaTeira, which this is the inyan and Pu'ulasei of Rashbi. And the Rebbe adds over here, V'gam ha'helem shemitzad atzmei and ishayich legilui. That we speak here also about an etzem, which organically is not shayich to the concept of gilui of revelation. Kimavur bedach, v'lei eid, that not only was Rashbi mamshich to the Tanoim Pnimius HaTeira, and not only was he mamshich megala helem shemitzad atzmei and ishayich legilui, but furthermore, elashapasachos siner, that he opened the tziner, like it's brought in the many Maimorim for Rabbi Seinu Nisienu, that the Lashon and Zeir is Pasach Rababa. Not Tanan, not Toni, not Tanya, not Pasach. The Sein of Psichas at tziner. Lechatchila b'deirei, in his generation, Asherafili Yenuko Gilus Sisrei HaTeira. Even children were shayich to secrets of Teira. Ula'achar zeh, and then the Rebbe says, in the generations that followed, ubefrat kedivid Rashbi, kadye korev liyem Mashiach, as we come closer to the time, to the era of Mashiach, which we're in now, that there is for sure a inyan of Tmiri le'ashkecha Tmiri de Chochmasa, that now with the secrets of Torah being revealed through Rashbi. So the Rebbe says it's a segula for Seideros. We should all arouse ourselves, that we should rededicate ourselves, recommit ourselves. Begili v'afotzas pnimius HaTeira, and the revealing pnimius HaTeira, which in Isgala, in the Mayones of Chassidus, in the Teira of Chassidus. This is the inyan of Lag Baomer. Ich frage a Pashta Shaila. The Rebbe is speaking here in this letter, it's Tavshach Chaf. The Rebbe is speaking here in this letter that Lag Baomer is a time for us to inspire ourselves and each other and those around us, rededicate ourselves to promulgating and to spreading and being Megala, the Teira of Chassidus, to all, that everybody should learn and know and appreciate from the Teira of Pnimius HaTeira. And we all know, if you ask any of us, what is the inyan of Lag Baomer? What is Lag Baomer? Talucha. Lag Baomer is the inyan from Talucha. Lag Baomer is the inyan, the Rebbe is inyan of a parade. You bring children together. Not frume kinder dafke, verkehrt. Jeden kinder that wouldn't come if it wasn't on a Sunday. It's the Wednesday hour. And the Rebbe promulgated this idea that with bringing kinder was begoloi, hamzen is ken shayches, not necessarily to a chayy yem of Torah mitzvahs. We have march in they have to march in the street, and to be a pride and with a parade with Jewish pride. And then the Rebbe is writing this letter that this is the inyan of Megala Pnimius HaTeira, that he was a Pasach Hatziner, and then this is the inyan of his Seideros by us, like Zagili Pnimius Seideros HaTeira. It's not possible for anybody to say that the Rebbe didn't know that in preparing for the Lag Baomer parade, there was definitely less Maimorim being learned in the weeks leading up to it. Nobody's going to be able to tell me that they learned more Chassidus in the weeks leading up to the parade, and for sure not the week of the parade, especially if you had a little bit of artistic talent like the Abish they gave me a gift with. A whole night painting, a whole night with Garbet, and I, there's lately a picture that was in his Sparsim Velvel Glingras with his gartel, drawing a thing for the parade of Montreal. And Chassidish Yidden, everybody knows. This is the Rebbe made a parade, and a famous singer, the Friedrich Rebbe, about the Shamru, that they don't say it, that I believe it's what Ditcher said, it's a ganze parade. So a parade is Faran, and it doesn't have to be by every parade. But their parade is given, all the Bashentim is given, all the Beims are given. How do you square this? What's the pshat over here? Like Baomer is a parade. First of all, the inyan was Arizgim Basoda. What happened by the other Rabbeim? Arizgim Basoda. In the middle of Rebbe Nishikat nehmen Maschke mitzad gesund Sachen und für Afo picken am Maschke und es verbracht und egal wenn sei das hat und sie gewinnen Nissim und der Elam hat a parade taking freie kids, bringing them in the street. On the surface, how do you understand this? How do you understand it? Everything has in Yoneh. If you would have come to somebody and say, in das Tachten, was is like Baomer? Like Baomer mit der Farbrengen. Und like Baomer mit der lernen Achdus. Und like Baomer mit der Mechazken discussions and Reben. That's just like Baomer. It's like Baomer. It's Pnimi. You know, like they have these groups, Pnimi, that, you know, the people who, it's not for the outside. Das ist zwischen uns gerät, wie man sagt. Das ist unser Tag. So, I'm snagget that gescheiches. What? He doesn't know from like Baomer. A gate like Baomer or Reister is the bird. Was is ganze Meshuga? Feiert im Shimbe, Simcha, mit das was emptied up, you give them to dictate. You can't make sense out of it. And then they go dance around the fire. It doesn't make any sense. It's not just Seichel Bechla. You gucken Shulchan Aruch, seien doch Shulchan Aruch jeden. Die gucken doch nicht. Die gucken Shulchan Aruch, der Mann nicht kennen Jahren von Pnimis HaTeire, and the Mann nicht kennen Inyan von Hilula der Rashbi, and there's even those who make a question about Hilula der Rashbi. The Chida was a Ben Deire from the Baal Shem Tov. He was attacked because he quotes this Kisva Arizal, and he was attacked. The Chida himself was Chayzer. He said, I think maybe I made a mistake. I don't know. Maybe Hilula means a chasana. Maybe Hilula doesn't mean Hilula. But the Rabbi Seinen is Yenos am angenommen, as wie steht in Mishnah Chassidim, as Yidos. And it's very interesting that the Rebbe quotes the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe, which is quoted in Divrei Nechemia. I think that Tzemach Tzedek quotes it also in Piskei Dinim, that the Mishnah Chassidim didn't write his own thing here. Lav Dafke, the Mishnah Chassidim hat gesagt, hat gesagt, okay, so what? Das ist Kisva Arizal, it's straight Kisva Arizal. Come on, Mishnah Chassidim spent time in Tzfas, he learned Kisva Arizal. This, it's much unbelievable. The Alter Rebbe writes, it's not the Mishnah Chassidim, it's a tzitut. It's all it is, it's a tzitut. This is Teres Arizal. The Teres Arizal is a rein von Sod. It's ein von Chassidus. Gut, darf man lernen Chassidus. Nicht lernen Chassidus, darf Farbrengen Chassidus. Es haben mal gewinnt a Lashon von Rebbe. When he gets to Shishol Pesach, I think Tafshin Yadal, the Rebbe said, es soll sein, Mala, Sa'aretz, Deis, Havaya, Kemayim lo yom achasim mit Farbrengens. It says, I'm a certain Lashon. If not, the Lashon is not meduik, the Teichen. And usually, the end of learning Chassidus, on Shishol Pesach, the Rebbe said, Mala Haaretz Farbrengen is Havaya. Mala Haaretz Farbrengen is Havaya. So, Farbrengen, gut. Fran in Friedrich Rebbe's Briefen is Fran a Bitoi. Kama Parmas, Lei HaMedrash Ike El HaMaisa. Nicht der Lerner Chassidus, not the Farbrengen. Now, if to actualize Chassidus, as Chassidim kommen zusammen, und man sagt L'chaim, there's a certain atmosphere and an energy that's created when we sit together. And this is actualization of Chassidus. But here you have a situation with a parad, with the Rebbe knew. There's not parad. The Rebbe knew, but the Rebbe knew exactly what was going on. He knew what say the yeshiva looked like, and all Teda, and the Rebbe knew parad. This was the Inyan. This was the Inyan. Good. Wir sind Chassidim for Rebbe. What the Rebbe sagt is okay. That's it. That's how it is. Finished. So voran. Sehr Geschmack im Meise, als Beschas als der Rebbe gedruckt, der Inyan von Birchas Achama. Der Rebbe gedruckt Birchas Achama al Piminik Chabad. So the way I heard the story, and I didn't hear from Makam Musmach necessarily, but the way I heard the story is like this, that the Shmuel Levitten, the Shmuel hat gefragt dem Rebbe, sind wenn es da Minik Chabad auf Birchas Achama? And the Rebbe said, sind heint. Was is beim Rebbe? Das ist Chabad. There's nothing else for us. We don't care. Was das ist Minik Chabad. I saw some nar wrote online about eating eggs. I was researching the whole thing with colored eggs. Bald zukommen zu them. But what else? Some nar wrote. There's no if it's Minik Chabad. The Rebbe used to. That's Minik Chabad. Sheitev. But the Rebbe did. That is Chabad. That's Minik Chabad. Finished. The Rebbe said, parad is parad. I don't care. I don't care if Teres Baal Shem Tov does work with it, doesn't. It's nicht nige. Wir sind Chassidim for Rebbe, that's it. Wir sind Soldaten. Like, so I was thinking, I had this daily get together, a Zoom get together, people in Shul, and I go over the Hayom with them, I Farbrengen with them a little, just to give not an official share, but like a trukene Farbrengen with coffee, not l'chaim. I feel a little less like weird sitting here in the office myself saying l'chaim. So anyway, I was thinking, I was telling him over the Hayom Yom today. Today's Hayom Yom. Good. It's Chala Hayom Yom. So interesting, the Hayom Yom. It's like mamish, like, what's the pshat Hayom Yom? It's Koscha, as the infant Tachten. Alter Rebbe Pascha, man sagt nicht kein Tachten, Ervim Kippur. Why here Krishma? Why here? To me sagt, jede drei ist hier, ist nicht? Modne Sach. I don't know. Maybe it's like Lahaitzi from Minig Ashkenaz, like, the way we get ready for like Baomer, the no Kel Melech Neman, Hashem Alekechem, Hashem Alekechem. I don't know. Anyway, then the Rebbe tells us, he's mitzatet over there, that there was a Teda from the Baal Shem Tov. A Teda from Baal Shem Tov. But das is Kemat 100 Jahre farther, was the Rebbe schreibt us. The Rebbe sagt around besmiches Tafresh Daled, as the Tzemach Tzedek has sagt a Teda from Baal Shem. By the way, when was the first like Baomer parade? Was Tafshin Daled? Anybody remember? I believe it was Tafshin Daled. Am I wrong? Anybody remember that? I think the first parade is Tafshin Daled, or maybe Tafshin Gimel even.
Was it Purim, Tafshin, Purim?
No, the first parade. The first like Baomer parade.
Purim.
Like Baomer, not Purim. The first like Baomer parade, Rabbi Lu. What year was it?
I thought Yud Gimel.
Yud Gimel? No, it was before the Siyas.
There was a parade on Purim, Tafshin Gimel, I think, or Tafshin Dalet.
Tafshin Gimel or Dalet.
On Purim.
Upon him is it 100 Jahre Fardem is da a Teda from Baal Shem. What's the Teda from Baal Shem? The Teda from Baal Shem is Anaya der Herr in the Pasuk Va'atem Tiyu Li Eretz Chayfetz. As Omer Hashem Tzvois. As the was the Pshat Eretz Chayfetz, keiner hat nicht geteicht wie der Baal Shem Tov. Anaya teich in Va'atem Tiyu Li Eretz Chayfetz. As Punkt Azevi the Greste Chacham. They don't know what's buried in the ground. The Eitzris, was gefinnen Sach. Betech Kader Haaretz, what's buried in the globe, at the center of the globe. Alzei, the Eibishter sagt auf Yidden, that Yidden, nobody knows the treasures that are in Yidden. And in the Sikha before, where the Rebbe is mitzat, this piece when the Baal Shem Tov talks about Pashta Yidden and the Mile of Pashta Yidden. And the Baal Shem Tov said, as ich will, as machen as Yidden sollen werden at dem Eretz Chayfetz. As they sollen aruizgeben at der Yevul. That's the teichen of the Hayom Yom, that Yidden should give out the what they're able to give forth from the ground. So I was talking about it. I was talking about it to the people, and I said to them, this is what the Baal Shem Tov is. This is what Chassidus is, what the Rebbe is. The Rebbe loved every single Yid, and the Rebbe's mission, the mission of Chassidus, is to be Megala, the Pnimius von jeder Yidden. That's what this is about. And I was thinking about this letter. The Rebbe says, "Ha'helem shemitzad atzmei einei shayich legilui." Ha'helem shemitzad atzmei einei shayich legilui. The Rebbe took Judaism public. He brought it to the outside. Bestach, Mendelssohn Yemach Shmeid gesagt, as Yehudi bevisecha, Adam betzisecha. Gut, das ist, aber afilo nicht Mendelssohn. Beschämt sich mit der Yiddishkeit. Beschämt sich. People came to North America. They came to this side of the thing. Afilo afrumi yid sich geschämt. Don't make too much noise. Go beneath the radar. Was darf me gain in a elephant? Like that. Keep your head down. Keep it quiet. And the Rebbe took Yiddishkeit outdoors. Punkt verkehrt. As a Yid darf gehen mit der Stolz. Ein Yid darf gehen mit der meredike Starkheit. Und ein Yid ist leyichre, leyistachewe. And the Rebbe took Judaism outdoors. I'm not talking even about the mitzvah tanks from the Lamids. It started by the Lag Baomer parades. The erste Sache, the Rebbe took Yiddishkeit outdoors, is the Lag Baomer parade. And think to yourself, how many of those children, there used to be Dozens and dozens of buses coming for Wednesday school children. How many of those children were never proud to be Jewish in their life? They didn't tell their neighbors they're Jewish. And that day they marched like Baomer in front of the Rebbe, and they with a yarmulke, and with the dressed sneers, they're carrying a sign, SOS, Save Our Shabbos, all the signs they made there, and the Yuds and the Chafs. How many Jewish children discovered Jewish pride by a Lag Baomer parade? In other words, this is what I was thinking. This is what I said to them. I said, my dear friends, I want to tell you that it seems to me that Lag Baomer is the Reb Shimon Bar Yochai being megala etzem haneshama. To the Tanoim, durch Zayar, to Bnei Deirei, to Yenuka, in the day of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, durch Primus HaTeirah. And the Rebbe touched every single child, and the Rebbe touched every single Yid, Ubameh, das was a Yid is gegangen mit der Stolz. Unheard of in history, that Yidden should march a parade von Yiddishkeit. Whoever heard of such a thing? A parade? Who parades the Judaism about? If they didn't kill you, be happy. But the Rebbe turned Yiddishkeit out, inside out. And how many Freie Yidden were inspired? How many Freie Yidden, their Pintele Yid was Nis'eder because they were marched in a parade or because they saw a parade? Nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever know. This Lag Baomer, this is the Yesod of the Rebbe's Aveda. It's the first really public thing that Rebbe did in a way which is Yichutza. Rebbe embraced the Chutza, embraced the freedoms of the United States, embraced the ideas of the North American brashness. He embraced this, and he took kids and he made them proud to be Jewish. Achdus is Rashbi. To mimgala zayin lahamshich helem shemitzad atzmei einei shaykh lizgalos. Achdus is like Baomer. Amerirtam pintele von jeder eines neshama. Amerirtam ayiden. Heap them off. When you peak and you arouse and you inspire the core essence of his neshama. But she's waiting for this. He's not waiting for this. And how does it happen? It doesn't happen when you give him a lecture. It doesn't happen when you give him a sermon or wag your finger at him. It happens when besever panim yafes, with simcha and tuv levav, mehept them off, and you go marching through the streets with that uvgehebenkeit, with that stolzkeit. This brings out the primis yadin. I told him. I remember the story this morning. I didn't tell anybody for a long time. I'm not a shemaisa, but I'm Maisa. I was on Merkashlichus in Tafshin and Aleph, Nun Aleph, Nun Beis. I was in a place called Bakersfield, California. It's a miserable place. That's the emes. I mean, there's never a shliach lives there. The average temperature in the summer is over 105 every single day. He's actually a London boy. He's the shliach der Schlenger. You ask him how hot it is. 105 is the average temperature. It's Kern County, Bakersfield. It's full of neo-Nazis. I went to visit a prison over there in Wasco. We met these guys, white supremacists, who were in jail for pulling a black person out of their car and beating them up because they drove through the wrong street. And they said, you don't know what we would do to you. It's just like open. It's a crazy place, right? And there's Yidden over there. There's a shliach there today. They have a mikveh today, Baruch Hashem. So we were on Merker Shlichus. I was actually on Merker Shlichus with an English boy from London. His name is Yossi Nigan. I haven't seen him in any years, but Yossi was with me. And we were there. We were together on Merker Shlichus. So ich habe sich eingebacken in a cup. Somebody made me crazy that you have to write a duch from everything you do every day, starting from what time you get up in the morning. Okay? So if I'm writing a duch, I have to get up what time I get up, every time I get up. So I decided I would keep Siddur Yeshiva. Seder Chassidus I kept. So I got up whatever time I used to get up. And if I have a mikveh, we're in the Comfort Inn on Weibel Road. Don't ask me why I remember that. But that's where it was. Comfort Inn on Weibel Road. We took up residence there. And garnished, we're calling people, and there's many interesting stories in those summer things. And one day, I'm going to the pool. The business people already were in the pool 5 o'clock in the morning. This is 7:15, 7:30. It's Chassidus. So I'm going to the pool after 7, and I'm wearing a bathrobe, and my tzitzis are on top. Now, you have to have a little guts. I'm not saying that not the bravest guy in town, but I have a little guts. To wear in Bakersfield, open tzitzis, a little guts. But then again, I have a Barden Payas and a yarmulke. What's the difference? Can't hide. Is it what it is? So I'm walking down the thing to the pool. I'm thinking to myself, how cool would it be? Like, the Rebbe spoke that sichev to Bachram, who somebody saw them through a window, and he was Neseder, a Bachram, at a bar, then a Hittel. I think it was Yudel Krinsky. And made him garnish the Stufgetan. They spoke of Boston English, and it didn't accomplish anything. And Lepel, the Rebbe says, "Es bekun a brief von a Yid, was hat gesehen, wie zwei Bachram gehen mit der Stolz, und ist Neseder geworden." Ich sage ihm, Meidani, v'chuli. Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, how cool would it be if somebody would see my tzitzis? Imagine, how cool would that be? That's what I'm thinking to myself. So I go in the pool, and I do what I got to do quickly. And I enter the window, I put the bathing suit back on, I get out, and I'm always a little nervous. Somebody should go into the pool, and I'm there. Baruch Hashem, okay. And I get out, and I'm like still under the influence of my nervousness, and I'm like running back to my room. And there's this guy packing his car, and he says, "Hey, nice kittel you got there." Nice. I'm like, "I beg your pardon?" He says, "Your kittel over there is nice." I said, "You mean my tzitzis, maybe? My talis cotton?" Anyway, I got into conversation with this guy, and turns out he's Jewish. He's Jewish. So and he's leaving. I said, "You got to put on tefillin." "Yeah, we got to put on tefillin." "Yeah, I can help you." I said, "What's the chance of us meeting in Bakersfield?" I slept him into the room, and poor Yossi was like Sachakel 720, like he's a bacher, it's like summer. Poor guy is still sleeping. He opens his eyes. I'm putting on tefillin with somebody. He's like, "Did I miss a meeting? What's going on? Is it 10 o'clock in the morning already?" Anyway, put on tefillin with this guy, and we gave him everything we had. I gave him a mezuzah. I gave him all the sfarim we had, every pamphlet we had. I gave him everything. And that's it. He disappeared. It's before today, technology. You take a picture of the guy and you take his number. It never hurts from him again. Was he geworden for them? Who knows? Und als jeder got a hear tshuva einmal, this is like Baomer. Like Baomer, am gate mit der Stolz. Like Baomer, as a Yid went to the Jewish children, walked in the streets, proud. A chaver of mine, a shliach in France, told me, he said there was a like Baomer event in Paris a few years ago. He says, you don't understand what it means. As Yiddish kinder, the mamash, they quake in their boots. And as Yiddish kinder sind gegangen der Stolz. He said the kid came to him with tears. He says, "Rabbi," he says to him in French, he says, "I'm proud to be Jewish. I'm proud to be Jewish." Das is like Baomer. Like Baomer is the Ruiz bringen the Pintele Yid by jeder einer. Das is like Baomer. The Rebbe brought it out in the Chutza, She'ein Chutza, Ke'emen Mamesh, and the Cheves here, and the Rebbe Gemant von Shluchim, we should all make paraden. And in today's day and age, you have to go, the Chutza is befetish the internet. And, it's funny, a few months ago, we were all lamenting the fact that everybody sits in front of devices. Everybody was lamenting it. Technology has taken over our lives. Kids are vorstellen what life would be like now if we didn't have Zoom, if we didn't have Facebook Live, if we didn't have all this. It's too scary to think. When you see each other, so b'meila, this is chutza. I had a conversation with a fellow shliach, much older than me, and he started making fun of me that I'm on Facebook, and on Facebook, I said, "Listen, Anike, you want to beat up on me? You can beat up on me. I can tell you much more things that you want to hear. You want my chesrenes? I'll give you much more things to make fun of me." I said about, but I said Facebook, you're wrong about. I said, this man Schuldikin, you're older than me, but you're a shvan. He said, "Why am I a shvanz?" I said, "Because Hafat Samayonas Chutza is not your comfort zone. Chutza today is the internet. And today, everybody can be a mandomar." I said, "You don't give not one share on Facebook. You don't use Twitter. Facebook. I said, "Bist a Schwanz. Du bist a Schwanz." Sachakel the Rebbe und sie geben a responsibility that we should reach Chutza. And this is who do you think made all this? The Eibishter made Facebook, and the Eibishter made Zoom, and the Eibishter made Twitter. Auf was hat das der Eibishter gemacht, wie der Rebbe Seide sagt, beim Rebbe Marash with the gold? Auf was? Auf Goyim. I've built a Shemer Shmita Torah Mitzvah, so people should take pictures of their lunch and share it. That's what the Eibishter made Facebook for. He made Facebook with that Fatzamayanas Chutza. That you have an opportunity to post and to share and to engage and to inspire and to uplift and to ignite Jewish pride and befetish to be megala pnimis an neshama. But das is unser Tafke, das is unser Pflicht, das is unser Inyan. Our Inyan is to be megala pnimis an neshama. Das is like Baomer. That's like Baomer, my friends. Megala is an the eigen neshama durch lernen Chassidus. Was an Chassidus is whatever, it's a disaster. And by the way, nobody has an excuse today. We're sitting in our home with davening to a minyan in our house. It's tarnish zayin am mitzias am shtel davening and learning chassidus. Can't be such a thing. Can't be. Can't be. We will leifman. We must learn Chassidus. We must learn Chassidus. It's not. Take a mimer a week and learn it over 5-6 times. You actually start to understand the mimer. Learn Chassidus. We have to learn Chassidus. The Vegas the Egen Neshama. We have to learn Chassidus mit andere. We have to learn Nigda mit andere. You have to. The in of Lag Baomer is in Megala Pnimius. But das Ulay Yeshlemer. That's why this comes out of Lag Baomer. This is the Hayom Yom of Erev Lag Baomer. Va'atem tiuli eretz chayfetz. Das hat der Baal Shem Tov gewollt. As jeder Yid soll geben die Yevul, was kann geben. Was das ist, heißt das in der Rebbe's Asius, Hahelem shemitzad atzmei and Ishayach legilui. The pintele Yid was gefindt sich by jeder einer, including the people we don't like, and including the people that we lock horns with, and we have difficulty with, and challenges with, and get in our way, including all those people also Yechiden. Und unsere Ringen ist zukommen zu jeder einer von sie. By hook or by crook, as they say. Und as Beshas, as wir wollen folgen, was der Rebbe uns geheißen. Nicht machen eigene Drachim, Chas v'shalom. This is the Lashon of the Rebbe, when he gave to the Eim from the story of the Lanternstick. But the Rebbe is medayik, that when the Rebbe Rashab told Manya, that he said to him, as a chassid is a Lanternstick, so he said, the fire is nicht dein fire. And the Rebbe chazet ibe the reid. It's nicht dein fire, your fire, I don't know, it's not going to make anything positive. You'll be an arsonist. I've gave me the Rebbe's fire. I've gave me the fire from Teres Chassidus. I gave the fire from the Skashrus. We have to bring the Rebbe's fire to everybody. It's like Baomer, you make bonfires. No, there's a lashon from the Rebbe that it's shaykh to Be'ikar Teretz Yisrael. Anyway, by the Rebbe we didn't see such a thing. People try to make it a nice, but the Rebbe, the Eim from Parad. That's like Baomer's a Parad. To make a bonfire of every year's neshama. Good. The Miron daf machen bonfires. You have to get to your Shalmi Jews also. That's for them. They have megaz the pnimis by jeder einer. As a Yid, was hat ich ken shaykh zu pnimis atere. Tanz bei der B'Shem Bechai. Im Azay is a megal sein pnimis an neshama. But unser Inyan is a parad, and unser Inyan is to gather Yiddish kinderlach and to be megala the pnimis an neshama. I feel the helam shemitzad atzmei is an ishayich legilui. L'chaim v'levracha. Lag Baomer. Lag Baomer. Tafshir Mem Ches. Asagel Vayalda. If my memory doesn't fail me, there was a parade like Baomer. Anybody remembers? Yeah, am I right? We zijn in de Junge. Richtig? Like Baomer Mem Ches is gewena parade like Baomer Mem Ches? Pettit, you remember?
Yeah.
It was, right?
The Rebbe wasn't there. It was Memches.
No. The Rebbe wasn't there in Tafshin Nun Aleph. Or Nun, what's the Rebbe did it come out? No, Mem Ches the Rebbe did come out, I think. You sure it was Mem Ches? I shouldn't argue. Rabbi Lou usually knows his stuff.
No, my son knows his stuff. No, I believe it was because it was
Rebbe
the year
didn't come out in Tismach.
The Rebbe didn't come at Tismach. Okay, so this story happened. This story happened. Dachtach.
That was Magia at the program, what they should talk about.
Yeah.
But the Rebbe did not come out in Tismach.
Right. Now I remember. Yes, the Rebbe did not come out Tismach. Right. The Rebbe came out Mem Zayin. The Rebbe came out Tafshin. Yeah. So I think that this story happened Tafshin Mem Zayin or happened Mem Ches. Weißt du, mir geht's nicht auf Farbrengen. I didn't really. I should have thought I should tell the story, but I don't remember the exact. It's either Mem Zayin or Mem Ches. Because in both years, I do remember that the Rebbe did drive by Empire. In Tafshin Mem Dalet, they changed the date. Mem Gimel, they went to the park, and the Rebbe drove by the park. But Mem Dalet, they made a fair. They closed off Empire, and from then the last Baomer parades were all with Empire closed off. Empire was the first year. Mem Dalet was the first year. Mem Zayin, Mem Ches was like that, and also in Tafshin. So there was the Rebbe came by, and this I distinctly remember when the Rebbe drove. The Rebbe on the way to the oil. The Rebbe drove by, seeing the kinderlach right in the middle of the fair. You have to remember the fair was like Ferris wheels. There was a girl side and a boy side. So the girl side I think was on on the east of Kingston, or east of Albany, and then the boys were maybe west of Albany, or maybe it was Kingston. I don't remember. Maybe I don't remember. There was a dividing point, and the girls half and the boys half, and there were 2 Ferris wheels and rides and so on and so forth. And the rides take up significant amount of space. So Rabbi Krinsky, we had to weave his way. It wasn't a straight drive. And of course, all the kids got very excited and the whole play. And the Rebbe drove through, and I remember seeing the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was going like this the whole way through, like this, waving his hands to the kids. The kids were mamash pressed up against the window. It was almost scary. They were very, very close to the car. Rabbi Krinsky was driving very slowly, and the Rebbe was going like this, lifting his hands up. That was in the front seat as he went to go to the aisle, lifting his hands up, waving, continuously waving to the children with a made addition. Okay, fine. That evening, my brother Baruch tells a story. He tells a story. By the table, whatever, everybody talks about what happened at the supper table. So brother Baruch, I think, was 13 or 14 years old at the time. Tells a story, maybe it's 15, maybe 15, 14 or something, that they were in the Ferris wheel, him and 4 Chavedim in the Ferris wheel. And when the Rebbe came by, the Ferris wheel stopped. All the rides stopped. And they were on the top of the Ferris wheel. They were at the apex. They were the highest car. Scary thing for kids. Little kids up in the highest car. I'm thinking now again, he wasn't bar mitzvah yet. No, it wasn't bar mitzvah him, Zayin. It was later. He's a kid. And the kids got very scared. And he said, this one kid, Ari, my friend Ari, was screaming, we're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die. He's screaming to die. And Ari started to scream Shema Yisrael as if this is it. The last Shema Yisrael, we're going to die. Shait the Shema Yisrael. Who's Ari? So Ari is my brother's, our second cousin, Ari Halberstein. My mother's a Hecht, his mother's a Hecht, his parents, my dad was a Vrog. My second cousin. Garnished. The story of friends together in Yeshiva. And Ari Halberstein kept saying, I'm going to die. And he's screaming Shema Yisrael on top of his lungs. I know, and now I remember it's Memches, because I remember where I was standing when we heard the answer from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe didn't come out to the parade, the Rebbe did come on Empire, go through Empire. And then I remember seeing the Rebbe go through Empire. Somebody wrote a letter to the Rebbe a few days after Baomer. I don't know who it is. We don't know who it is. But we do know what the answer was, because the answer was Nisparsim. Either Maskidus Sahira or somehow, some way, the answer was Nisparsim. And I remember where I was standing in later. It was after we moved from Zal downstairs, which meant it had to be already Meches, in the new Zal upstairs on Troy Avenue. And the answer for the Rebbe, the question was, somebody wrote, it's poor people and needy people and desperate people. And here, like Baomer parade costed $70,000. And all of us who are in the real world today, I think $70,000. The Lag Baomer parade then costed $70,000. It was the ocean of money. An ocean of money at the time. $70,000. $70,000. That's what it was. That was the number that was being floated out there. And he said, Are you talking that it's $70,000? 70,000. Zachanim, V'netevim, $70,000. Somebody had a chutzpah to write such a letter to the Rebbe. Das Elyon is doch nicht das Tachten in People say to you, Rabbi, what would the Rebbe say? I don't know what the Rebbe would say. I don't know. To look at niggers, can you see what the Rebbe said? I don't know what the Rebbe would say. If any of us know what the Rebbe would say. The Rebbe answered this. The Rebbe said, I don't remember if I might be saying the Lashon somewhat off, but the Teichen is by me Kozach. Harei hoya sham yeled. And the Rebbe put in Sugrayim, Sha'ani makiroi ishis, Sha'omar shma yisrut amemes. Harei hoya yeled, the Rebbe said, Sha'ani makiroi ishis, Sha'omar shma yisrut amemes. In other words, the person came to the Rebbe and said, $70,000. So he can't give tzedakah. And the Rebbe's answer was not a lecture about Jewish pride and not how this will promote and inspire you. No, the Rebbe said, "Es gewähne Engel, was ich kenne." And for those who know, Chesed Halberstam worked in the Rebbe's house, and our Halberstam Hashem of Domov was zeichet to sit on the Rebbe's lap, and the Rebbe learned from Aleph Beis. The Rebbe literally went over pointing Aleph Beis Gimel Ari Halberstam literally sat on the Rebbe's lap. That's not a theory; that's a fact. That's a fact, and it happened not only once. So the Rebbe, how many children of the Lubavitchers does the Rebbe know? Ishis. The Rebbe said, "Hinini makir ishis." It has to be Ari Halberstam. So I remember hearing his answer. Nobody knew what the answer meant. The Rebbe said, "As Arei Hoya Yela Choysa." What did the Rebbe mean? I heard this answer. I remember I was standing. I said, "No, that's what about? Just tell me the story." Ari said, "We're gonna die." He was screaming Shema Yisrael with the emes. In other words, as the God's talk by Bernard's the word, that English shines Shema Yisrael with the emes. That is that Engel. Leilenu, we know the story. There was a Russia Merusha Yimachshmei v'zichre, the Brennan Leilam Vod, a shit Bazi Machshmei, a terrorist who was aiming, looking for the Rebbe when they're coming back from surgery. And he was listening on the police radio, and the police radio was basically talking about a white van. The Rebbe's car was called the White Van. That was the code name. And this Rosh Yimach was looking for the Rebbe's car. He was looking for the ambulance, and he went after the white van. And it's unfortunately a tragedy of Tafshon Gimel. What happened? Ari Halberstam took that bullet. And the Rebbe said, like Baomer, $70,000, as gewähne Engel, was gesagt, Shema Yisrael mit the emes. You put it all together, it's pretty wild. So it's heavy stuff, as they say. And I don't know that the story doesn't say anywhere. And I'm putting the pieces. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm filming. Maybe I'm dreaming. It seems compelling. I happened to hear my brother Baruch talk. Who else could know that? My brother Baruch. A few kids were there. And this younger man works with me. Yossi Sandals. He told me he was in that thing together with them. He's in the same class, and he said he remembers our screaming. So I have a cross reference. The Rebbe said, "Ich kenne him persönlich." Was geschrien Shema Yisrael, but der Shema Yisrael is worth $70,000. My friends, this is like Baomer. Als Yid soll schreien Shema Yisrael mit der emes. Wir sollen megala sein, der Helem shemetzatmei shayach legilu. And if you have the privilege to be on shlichus, or even if you're a balabas, and you carry a pair of tefillin with or Hashem, when we get back to a normal life, if Chas v'Shalom Mashiach doesn't come sooner and get us out of this mess, we get me'eres on Yidden. If you tweet somebody or you poke somebody, you text somebody, and can me'eres on Yidden, as a Zogin Shema Yisrael mit der emes, because alle Geld in der Welt, das hat uns der Rebbe gelernt, das ist wert Shema Yisrael, das ist wert, alle sein Primis von der Yidden, und das ist der Ding von Baomer. L'chaim, levracha, der Eberste soll helfen, es soll sein, da Legolas. Es soll sein, es ist genug. Wie viel kann man schon aushalten? Gewiss, der Rebbe guckt auf uns, der Rebbe seht ja der eine von uns, und der Rebbe ist Zeichen, Itam, Beteichtum, Masam. I don't know about you guys, but I can't be in a mikveh. I haven't been in a mikveh since other, unfortunately. And I don't see it anytime soon here in Ontario. The place is shut down, lock, stock, and barrel. It's the first time in my office in almost 2 months. Und weißt du, kann ich schreiben? I don't know. I asked my Rav. Everybody asks you, Rav, do what your Rav said. My Rav told me, you don't write it without going to me. So, kann ich schreiben? Kann ich sein von Öl? Kann ich travel? That's not shy to get across the border. For a while already, I tried very, very hard. I shouldn't go by. It's easy for me to talk. I'm only like an hour and a half flight. You guys are further. Und es ist heute schon geht der bald seit 3 Jahren und wir können es schreiben und wir können seine Mikve. Da wissen, dass Sheikh Eid und Beteiligt und Massam, der Rebbe gefindt sich mit uns und zwischen uns. Despite the fact that we can't be a mikveh, it's not l'tzeinu. It's not the way we want it to be. It's not our bechira. The Abish to put us in this crazy situation. Und man darf sich anhalten zum Klamke und man darf trachten wegen dem Rebbe. Man darf lernen der Rebbe's Teire. Und man darf tun, was er will, to the best of our ability. Man darf lieb haben jeden. Der Rebbe lieb hat jeden. It's a very hard thing to do. Man darf lieb haben jeden. Jeder jeden. Even Jews don't look like us, don't like us, don't speak like us. Don't see it the way we see it. That's what I want. That we got the idea. Und darf sein, dass Megal ist der Pnimis. Unsere Pnimis darf Megal sein. Unsere Pnimis ist Megal durch Lernchsidis. Und für Megal sein, der Pnimis von Nachhaiden, lernen mit Lernchsidis, or the simple notion of Jewish pride that is able to tear away all the mechitzes. To Megal da Atzmi, Shem Tzad Atzmi, der beschreibt den Shaykh Gili. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim, L'vrach. Der Rebbe soll sich helfen, man soll sich treffen zusammen mit der Rebbe, Merz Hashem.